Morning all. Let me just take the Grugo one. No longer Baby Yoda. He's Grugo. I'm going to throw it there. And I'm going to close out with something, I don't know, that's not heavy. Because the first topic of the day is heavy. And Mark Donnelly gets fired yesterday. And the reaction is one that I could have predicted. So he was going to go to an anti-mask rally and sing the national anthem. I don't know why you need the national anthem for a rally, but okay. And now the debate is on about whether or not the Canucks were in the right or in the wrong. So you can take the reasoning and you can set it aside, but there are always consequences for things you may say or do. Always. When my channel first started up, and this is back 5 years ago, I had bosses tell me, so you're doing pretty well on that YouTube channel of yours. And if you are, saying negative things about people at work here, you can lose your job. So the idea of, being critical of my work or of the people there was not allowed. Freedom of speech is one thing. So Mark Donnelly is going to go to this rally and he's going to sing the national anthem. He's allowed to do that. That's freedom of speech. But as his employer, they have the right to say that doesn't float with our brand when we're shut down due to a pandemic. So Francesco Aquilini tweeted out that the Vancouver Sun's article needed to name him as the former anthem singer for the Canucks. And Donnelly didn't sing for as many games. It at least didn't feel like this year as he usually does. I don't think Mark Donnelly sang at any of the games I went to. I think that the team was looking in another direction anyways, and there are other people who sang the anthem and sang it very well. And that was one of the first things that I saw people saying, which was, okay, these people are really good at singing the anthem. All right. And I even jokingly mentioned Carnell, who's Golden Pipes in Vegas, saying maybe we could steal him from Vegas, and he said, can you smuggle me across the border? I said, I'll see what I can do. So I do enjoy those exchanges with Carnell, and I know he's going through a lot this year too, because obviously he's not singing the anthem. He has other jobs he usually does on the side, and those have not been available to him either. So he's having to basically reinvent himself during 2020 as an anthem singer, which is not a really lucrative job. So the guys you see singing the national anthem, you get money for that. You don't get as much as people might think. Finn. This didn't get any attention because of Mark Donnelly, but yesterday also Finn dropped from being a full-time employee to part-time. And Finn, of course, being the man in the suit, in the outfit. And whoever it is that plays Finn, he's good at it. Having been to, I think it was 6 games we went to this last year. We went to a lot. And it's a shame that we didn't get to go to more, but things shut down. And, of course, then the Canucks had their playoffs in the bubble, and they did pretty well. But the whoever it is that plays Finn, and I would say guy, but I mean it could be a woman as well. It doesn't have to be a man in the suit. We don't really get that close. Hopefully this cutback by the Canucks doesn't need to be a thing for much longer. So I understand that there's a lot of people that are stressed. I know there's a lot of people who are dealing with some tremendous financial hardship. But what the Canucks did is what companies have done for decades, where there are things you can do outside of work. Look at it this way. You can go to a job and say, all right, I want a job here. And then they look into your history and they go, oh, well, we saw you did this 5 years ago. We don't think we can hire you. So vetting is the thing. And again, he's not in jail or anything. That's the whole thing. He's not in jail. So, yeah, moving on from that topic, as we wade through, let's go to what I consider to be more hockey news, right? Than that. But if I don't mention that, then everybody's going to go, why didn't Shannon mention it? So Steen may not play this season. And the Blues have been kind of secretive as to exactly what the problem is that I can find. But he may not play this season. And that's it. That's the news, is that he may not play. He may just go on LTIR and stay there. And sometimes this happens with players where all of a sudden they're on LTIR and they just stay. In Toronto, they called it Robida Island. So there you go. And Tarasenko, not close. So his reevaluation is in February. Notice I'm saying not his return would be in February. His reevaluation is in February. So when I was talking about St. Louis and who they might leave exposed for the expansion draft, Tarasenko would make complete sense, because if he misses this upcoming season, or a large portion of it, he may be exempt. He may be in a situation where, due to medical reasons, he's exempt from even being protected. And if you're Seattle, you wouldn't touch him. He'd be like, nah, he's had major shoulder problems for years now. We're not taking somebody who may never get back to what they were and costs us $7.5 million a year in cap space. So I do wish him the best. I hope he gets back to his best. And I'll put it this way: 3 years ago, I had Tarasenko picked as the guy that I thought was going to win the Richard Trophy. I thought Tarasenko had that good of a shot, and I thought if he was consistent, he could be the best goal scorer in the National Hockey League. So I do hope he gets back to somewhat that kind of form at some point, but with these shoulder problems, it's doubtful. Last night, Jake Sanderson made news for the University of North Dakota. Highlight reel goal. And it's interesting because Jake Sanderson, that was the big debate with him, was between Sanderson and Drysdale. Drysdale was seen as the better offensive defenseman. Sanderson might be better physically, might be better defensively, but if you want that offense, you should go with Drysdale. When Ottawa went with Sanderson, it raised a few eyebrows. If he can play like he did in that game last night, where he ended up with a goal and an assist, including that highlight reel goal, that's kind of sort of fantastic. So, yeah, Sanderson making Ottawa fans happy last night with that game. And University of North Dakota, I believe, has numerous Ottawa Senators prospects on it, so at least they're playing, and that's more than a lot of prospects are right now. The queue is closed down. WHL hasn't started yet. Likely doesn't. We'll get into that in a second. And, of course, the OHL. We're still having the debate about how that's going to work. Players and owners appear to be close on pretty much everything except for deferrals and escrow. So I know people are going to look at that sarcastically and go, oh, so they're okay on everything except the money. That's big. It's big if they can agree on how this return should look. And if they can put all of that on paper and then come back to the money. So the escrow is what players aren't moving on, which means they're willing to move on deferrals. So that's important, that they're saying, okay, we're not giving more up to escrow, because escrow they may not get back. Deferrals they do. And it may be as simple as allowing that money to collect interest, the deferrals, which was something that I had heard it wasn't going to do. It wasn't going to collect interest, but, and again, this is that whole 50-50 split thing and all the finances. But if they allow for it to collect some interest, and it's millions and millions of dollars, that could be some decent interest for the players when they get that money back. And it would be nice as a sign of good faith for the owners to say, fine, we'll do that. So I do think we'll get there. January 13th is the rumored start date. That's what they're looking at, is maybe January 13th, which would mean like New Year's Eve, then the start of training camp. I would think Boxing Day for teams that missed the play-in round, so for those 7 teams. They're talking about a 60-game schedule and no exhibition games. So, could be some rough hockey. Now, I saw one person on Twitter say, well, it's going to mean scoring's going to be through the roof. Not necessarily. Remember, in the return, we kind of expected some sloppy defense, but it turned out that the defense was a lot easier to ramp up. The penalty kill was a lot easier to ramp up than the scoring in the power play. So we actually saw scoring kind of trend down from where it had been during the regular season when they came back. So if we end up coming back and we don't have exhibition games, we may see teams really clamp down defensively, especially if we're just dealing with teams playing other teams in their division. So if you're just playing divisional opponents and you're playing each other, 8 times in a year, yeah, defense is going to be major, and you can figure out ways to shut almost everybody down. So that'll be interesting, and hopefully that's the case. Now, the BCHL gets shut down before they technically get things started. They were supposed to start this coming week. But in British Columbia here, there's restrictions on adult team sports, meaning that the kids are still going to be playing their games. There's guidelines for that, but team sports involving anybody 18 years of age or older, not going to happen. So the BCHL shut down before it starts, and of course this could affect the WHL as well, as the WHL struggles to get their game going. And again, and I've mentioned this before, this is going to affect next year's draft, where a lot of guys who are eligible for next year's draft may not get the time on the ice, may not get the game time, may not get the experience you normally would see, and or scouts won't see them with the regularity they normally would. So some guys may end up overhyped based on what scouts see, and some guys may end up dropping in the draft unfairly. It is going to be wild. Now, if we didn't end up having a season, that'd work out. So you end up not having a season, you'd have a pure lottery system to decide who drafts first through 32nd in the draft. And then it's a crapshoot. You have no idea. It's the ultimate lottery then, isn't it? Where maybe a team drafting at 32nd in the first round gets a pretty darn good player out of it. Because they get somebody who slipped past because he just wasn't scouted, or he was seen in a couple of games and that was it, and he wasn't very good in those games. So yeah, it's going to be an interesting year. And then there's a reason that this, as he's known as Baby Yoda, this Grogu. Last night I did watch The Mandalorian, and it sort of ticked me off. If you don't watch The Mandalorian, you'd be like, well, why would it tick you off? It didn't tick me off in a way that I don't want to watch it. It ticked me off in a way that I can't wait for next week, because seriously. But at the same time, I do miss having hockey to watch. It's great to keep up on TV shows. I'm doing that very well this year in a way I haven't in 4 years. But I kind of miss having hockey preventing me from doing it. All right. So, to everybody watching this, thank you guys so much for all your support. We will be doing a live stream later today. I haven't set the start time. I'll set that as soon as I finish this video and get set to upload it. So look for that. It will just be a live stream here rather than on the PlayStation. And I did verify on the PlayStation that, yeah, I have all those retro jerseys in it. So I'm excited about that. And it looks like my Minnesota retro is going to be the next one that arrives. So we'll have that. I would think probably by Monday. I'll say Monday. It could be tomorrow, because the mail moves 7 days a week during this time of year. So during Christmas rush, it's always moving 7 days a week in Canada. Other than that, it's 5 days a week in Canada, and they have the weekend off, which I think is different in the U.S. when it comes to delivering it. I don't know if I don't think all the post offices are open. They don't have the regular hours, but I think they're open. Anyways. All right. Before I sidetrack myself any further, thank you guys so much for all your support. As always, don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. Thank you guys for all your support. I will talk to you again soon.